This is King Island Community Radio and Television. Now, folks, there's a lot going on when it comes to freight, when it comes to transport. Cost of living is very expensive on King Island. What can we do about it? We do have the freight equalization scheme that has been in place for many, many years. There's a lot of questions about it. And I think the person that has asked more questions than anybody about it is the independent senator for Tasmania, Tammy Tyrrell. Tammy, welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
Now, for those, let's keep it simple. For those people who don't understand, what actually is the freight equalization scheme?
It's basically a reimbursement for having to get anything across that piece of water between the mainland of Australia and Tasmania and King Island and Flinders Island. It's meant to be the piece that connects us because we don't have a piece of bitumen. Simply, basically, it's meant to be able to help you get what you need across Bass Strait.
And then, okay, then people get a sort of reimbursement for their freight. So how does that normally work?
Basically, people have to get onto an application form, and historically, you can do it physically or online. And from what I've heard online, it's so complicated and so, torturous, like any government website, that people just throw their hands up in the air and they don't bother. I know that on King Island, elders have kindly stepped up and helped people do applications. But with the freight equalisation scheme inquiry that we had on the island late last year, it's come out that they're going to do some modifications to it. They're going to make it easier for people to access, make it quicker, make it more reasonable. Because we've had promises from both red and blue sides of Parliament, which is really good in this election.
Now, one of the things is that we often hear on the island here, and I'll give you a simple example. You got a bakery, brings in flour from the
Yep.
mainland, gets reimbursed for the freight. Then we have a building company that brings in timber to build a house on the island, which is also manufacturing,
Yep.
production, get nothing. So where's the balance?
There is no balance, and that's the thing about the freight equalisation scheme. It's been in place since the 70s. It's been in place as long as I've been alive. So it makes me sad that they haven't actually kept up with the times and made it more fair and more reasonable and increased the rate so as that people aren't out of pocket. But it's also, how are you meant to get stuff onto the island at a good and fair price if you can't access the freight equalisation scheme? Anything that comes to the islands should be covered in my world. And they should also add air freight to it. I don't know how that would work for the timberman, but for those darlings at the bakery, etc., it would make it easier to get stuff in and out. By the way, I just ate the last pie out of my freezer that I got last time I was over there, so I'm going to have to come and get more. The crayfish pies, my partner loves them.
Now, the other thing is also, of course, that freight coming to the island that we get then reimbursed for some of the
Yeah,
cost. There's also the outgoing, of course, say like with our bee farmers that
yeah.
have cattle leaving the island.
Yeah, they actually gave me an amazing example, which I've used all over this beautiful country of ours. They gave me a spreadsheet where it showed that for the last 12 years, they haven't received anything more in regards to the freight transport costs. What they were getting 12 years ago is exactly what they are getting now, 12 years later. And that's ridiculous because the cost of shipping stuff across Bass Strait has gone up 3 to 5 times. So they're not paying hundreds of dollars, they're paying thousands of dollars, and they're thousands of dollars out of pocket. So, how can any business maintain themselves if they're going backwards all the time? And anything that doesn't get reasonable freight reimbursement, it makes your prices for groceries go up even more as well. And that's so wrong, especially in a cost of living crisis, which we're all having.
Now, this talk has been going for a long time now that it should change, that it can improve.
Yeah.
You're a reasonable, say, newcomer to politics for the last 3 or 4 years. What made you decide, or what did you pick up that you thought something's wrong here?
Well, I've been a staffer for 8 years, and now I've been a politician for two when I picked up the topic. Everywhere I went, people were talking about the freight equalisation scheme, about how, excuse the technical term, car it is. And that was from Tas farmers, producers, the graziers, and also small businesses, TCCI and the chambers. And I was like, well, why isn't anybody doing anything about it? Like, it can't be that hard, can it? It's a regulation too. So any sitting government at any time could have changed it, fixed it, but they didn't. And I'm like, no, nah, this has got knobs on it. I've got 6 years as a senator. I'm going to do something real and tangible that is only for Tasmanian people. And that's why I'm looking at the freight equalisation scheme and got the inquiry up last year, which was uncontested in the federal government, which is so rare. And then when we had the inquiry, the red, the green, the blue team, they all agreed that the freight equalisation scheme was bad. And every member of the inquiry was a Tasmanian politician except for one. We had a WA one and he snuck in. So we wanted to have people on the inquiry that understood from a Tasmanian perspective what was going on. And the recommendations that we got in place from the inquiry, they didn't go far enough. They just wanted to put reviews in place and do this and do that. And we have, now that the election's up, got a promise from the red team and the blue team, which is great. They're going to increase the money to it, but they're also going to just have some reviews around it. And like, we all know what's wrong with it. We all know what's wrong with it. But the promises that we've got in place, it's going to make it better. It's going to make it a little bit easier. And they're going to look at the process and do tutorials and make it a little bit easier to get access to it, which isn't a bad thing.
So the money that has been promised now by the future whatever government we're going to have about the increase, where does that money in principle go? Do people will get bigger rebates, bigger refunds, or is it going to be expanded that more businesses can make use of it? Or what's
all of the above as such? The money that's going into it will be to improve the process, make it easier, update the resources around it. It's also going to increase the internodal costs of the wharves. So is that it used to be just a flat rate of $50, but whenever you get to a wharf, as you'd know over there, sometimes there's 2 or 3 changes or transport points to get the stuff to where it needs to be. So, yeah, and it's going to increase the amount of money that you're going to receive. So it is equalising, but it's also going to expand the amount of money that's in the kitty because more people are going to be able to use it. So they're good things.
So is my builder who was bringing in timber to the island and builds a house, is he going to be able to make use of this service now too? Or?
I'm hopeful. There's still some details that need to be looked at. So I'm not going to make 100% yes on that. But I would love to look at that a little bit further and see if it can be tweaked because building on the islands is so important. It's so expensive to get anything anywhere, let alone building costs. I'm hopeful that they should be able to access some, but I can't say yes or no exactly at the moment. Sorry.
You mentioned wharf. One of the complaints that we have on the island is that people think that, and we hear that from the shipping companies, that coming to King Island, dealing with test ports and the stevedoring and charges, people often say they must be far too high. Now, we can't prove it because where's the evidence, but what's your thoughts on that?
Well, Miriam Beswick, who's the member for Braddon, and she's an independent in the state parliament, put a motion up on Wednesday, and it went through uncontested. And on it, it was including an investigation into the Tasport situation to see where the costs are and what's been going wrong or right. You know, we've got to look at it 2 ways. But I'm hopeful that that is going to actually highlight the inadequacies with Tasports and where they've either been a little bit hinky or overcharging or overcosting things. And they're going to be a little bit more transparent. Well, they're going to be a lot more transparent because it's all going to come out. And that's the beautiful thing for me is that I'm able to work with state and federal politicians of any colour to try and get the answers for the people of Tasmania as a whole, and in particular you guys on King Island and Flinders, because it seems like you're getting a bit of a raw deal.
I believe that you've also started a website where you would like constituents and people that are going to vote will have an input in enforcing what you would like to happen. Tell us a bit about the site.
The website is all about the freight equalisation scheme. And when I was on the island for the King Island show, we had a meeting at the local business chamber and we had everybody from all around, the butchers, the bakers, the candlestick makers, and the beef producers. And they all wanted me to put pressure on the state and federal government for TFES. So part of that, even though we've got promises from the red and the blue, is that I've got a website where I'm encouraging people to sign up to a letter to send to their local members to put more pressure on them to do some of the stuff that was not promised in this election, like making air freight part of the deal, and making there be an agent so that you can access the payment system easier and more equally and get the money back into your pockets quicker. So if you go onto tammyterrell.com, there's a page for the freight equalisation scheme. And I would love for everybody to hop on board and do a letter to their local member. It'll go to the red team, the blue team. And if you're in Bass, Braddon, Lyons, it'll pick up whoever the member is for that area and send them a letter very politely. Within that, though, there's a little bit of a sweet pea moment in there for the members, is that you give them the option to put a sign up for their party, whoever you pick, to send a letter to. It's very polite. It's very got manners. But it's all about letting them know that you guys exist. Your 900 votes on King Island absolutely bloody matter.
Well, what I'm doing is, Tammy, is that if people have a look here under the comments,
Yeah.
we have a link to the website.
Excellent.
It's actually, it only takes about 20 seconds, isn't it, to fill
Correct.
in,
Correct.
put in your
There's a
postcode.
QR code and there's a website page. We're also trying at the moment to get a letter circulating out to the islands. Hopefully that'll have a QR code and explain it a little bit more. But Australia Post and Technology are going a little bit against us at the moment. But stand by. If you could circulate that information, I'd be so grateful. And let the politicians know what matters to you, because your votes matter.
Now, in the foreseeable future, now, what are the key elements now? What do you want? What do you want to see happening to say? Senator Tyrrell is very happy now. We achieved what we want. So, what are the steps as far as you are concerned?
Well, putting pressure on the feds, which was why I worked with the state government, Miriam Beswick, because they need to know that Tasmania matters as a whole. King Island, Flinders Island, Bruny Island, Tasmania, we matter. Our votes matter. And in Tasmania, Braddon is a swing seat. The government can't form government if they don't get the swing seats. So I'm going to continue putting pressure on the federal government and on the state government as well to take into account we that matter. We, the little guys, the little people that live in beautiful little remote areas, we matter. But I'm going to keep on punching up and out, because I believe that if you keep on having a crack, eventually it'll float to the top. And I'm going to pick little things that matter to local communities. So I'm encouraging everybody to reach out to me too. When they're on my website doing the TFES stuff, also send me a comment as to what's going on, what else you would like me to look at.
Is it also then what you say? Well, you're not saying it, but I'm instigating almost, like, or thinking that no matter the millions that Albanese has promised now,
Yeah.
towards the TFES is not enough. The whole program, the whole setup has to change. It's not only the dollars.
It's not only the dollars. It's making it so as that, I don't know, like the little producer that makes a bougie little gin or a cheese or whatever. Like that lovely lady who makes all the paintings, which if you look up here, I have one on my wall.
That must be Caroline Kinnaman.
It's Caroline. It's Caroline's painting. I got it last time I was over there. That they can actually export stuff to the mainland or to Tasmania, or import the paint, the flour, the timber, the nails that they can at a good price, and not have to put the increase on cost onto the consumer, so that people on King Island and Flinders Island can actually afford to live. That's what I want to do. I want to make it so that people of the islands can live at a better price.
Well, let's hope you achieve what you'd like to achieve, because it would also benefit everybody on Flinders and King Island. And
yeah.
Senator Tammy Terrell, we thank you
Yeah.
very much for your time.
Reach out to me. Don't forget me. All right. Lovely to talk.